Pundit is the football trivia game, ideal for the football head in your life. Every sale of Pundit using the code LIONS at checkout earns you a 10% discount plus a donation for the Lions Food Hub. Visit punditgames.co.uk to order your copy or visit @punditgames on Twitter.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Something for the weekend is slightly later today, apologies for that. I wasn't around much yesterday, and Neil, my co-confederate here, was not around much yesterday, one way and the other, but big welcome to the man himself, Neil Fissler. How you doing, Neil?
Not too bad, Nick. Not too bad. Bingo cards at the ready. I've got 2 words to avoid this week.
2 words to avoid. Would they be Kevin and Nisbet by any chance? Gnashing, wailing, grinding of teeth online over the failed Kevin Nisbet deal. It would have been a club record deal, Neil. A deal involving up to 2.5 million all in with add-ons and all the bits and pieces you get in modern transfer business. Would have been because Kevin Nisbet came down from Hibernian to sign. I mean, this was all go, 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 wasn't it? At one point on Thursday, it was deal accepted, money accepted by Hibernians of Edinburgh. And then it just went quiet. And I don't know about you, Neil. My sixth sense started to tell me around about 10 o'clock Friday morning that something was amiss, because generally you hear something, and we weren't hearing much, were we, on this record deal?
Yeah, it's a very strange one. I've never known a set of fans to wet themselves so much over not getting a striker. Then they go cold on him when it seems if he's over the line. Then it's almost euphoric that the deal's fallen through. And I share your feelings on it. I think that when Rich Cowley put the tweet out, obviously everybody knows the club told him to put it out. You started to think, yeah, this is going to happen. And the way that modern football is, I put a tweet out about it yesterday morning. Why can't they just announce a deal? Because what happens now is players will do the medical, then they'll spend half a day taking photographs, doing memes,
slow-mo video,
other social media stuff, all kinds of stuff, an announcement video. And I think a lot of Millwall's deals, generally, where they've announced it on a Thursday, or say Thursday this week, when Rich Cowley says that it's happening, you generally find that it'll either be done later that day, but if it's not done later that day, they usually try and get it out, unless somebody completely shoots me down, early the following morning, 9:30. And it didn't happen. And I got bogged under with some history research yesterday morning, and they didn't pay it too much attention. So we're staying off Twitter and Hoff and the usual places. And all of a sudden, the deal's off. I think you sent me a WhatsApp.
I did, yeah.
And a friend of mine I used to work with, who's a Hibs fan, sent me a WhatsApp, because I'd been taking the piss out of him for 3 days that, the old Owen found his star striker on Football Manager, and that we were going to have him for a knockdown price. I don't buy the argument that he changed his mind. I don't. That's
PR, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a load of guff, because if you read the Hibs forum, there was a percentage of fans that were quite happy that he was going, because they perceive him to be a wrong 'un. I think down tools when they turned down the bid from Birmingham,
Right.
and there were another group that, blimey, yeah, we surely can do bigger than Millwall, and well, not really because we're bigger than you, yeah. They said it was a life-changing sum of money, and
For the boy, like, yeah.
yeah, and the way that deals are structured now, Millwall would have been speaking to his agent, undoubtedly. So they would have agreed the terms rather than drag him down for talks, which was the old way. The agent deals with everything now. So they know what we're paying. Yeah, they know the signing on fees, the bonuses, blah, blah, blah. And then it's up to the two clubs to agree the fee. And then they bring him down for a medical. I cannot believe that Millwall are surprised that he failed a medical, to be quite honest. He's just come back from a serious cruciate knee ligament injury.
And I was just looking at his Wikipedia page. I mean, it's an interesting career that he's got, Kevin Nisbet. He scored freely, Neil. I mean, I get why he was seen as a prospect. We're not going to sign Mbappe. Any listeners out there that are in this kind of delusional world that we can sit at the high rollers table. We are going to be looking for players like Kevin Nisbet. Clearly not Kevin this time because of whatever was turned up at the medical. But look at his scoring record, Neil. It's quite impressive. I mean, and someone's going to go, oh, the Farmers League, Division 2 or whatever. I don't buy that. Any level you're at where you're scoring 29 goals in 34 games, or Dunfermline, he's got 18 in 25, 26 goals for Hibernian. 7 in that, yeah. Since he came back from the injury, and that's the crucial part. You've just said it. He suffered a major knee injury, and he's clearly recovered to the level where he can score 7 goals in 16 appearances. But coincidentally, I was just saying off air, I'm just reading on The Athletic. There's a coincidence, pure coincidence, listeners, an article about football medicals. And I mean, the word medical implies like someone puts their hand on your scrotum and tells you to cough. It's a fairly big deal. They go into it in some depth. I'm just looking at the images here. They're going into scanners. They're having their heart monitored, like you would do if you're going into hospital. Blood tests, you name the test, they go into it.
Yeah, you look on YouTube. There's a very good. It popped up on my feed. Wolves signed a couple of players in the last couple of weeks, and they follow them into the medicals.
Yeah.
But these are full blown scans, head to toe.
Absolutely. You're wired up like you're in hospital for an operation.
Yeah,
I'm just reading this. The professor of Professor Barty, Professor Malhotre are doing this. This is one up north somewhere, but it's going to be the same down here. You're wired up like when you're going in for heart surgery or whatever major stuff. They're going to produce a report. And what was interesting, the point that I'm trying to bring us to, is that they do a full test on a player, because obviously from the buying club's point of view, it's like taking out a survey when you buy a house. No, you're investing probably on a personal level, the biggest sum of money you'll ever invest in anything. So you need to know what you're buying into. And from the Millwall perspective, we're possibly into this for £2.5 million. They do need to do a full report, and that's what's been done, I believe. I mean, the club are saying that he decided against the move, but I don't buy that. I don't believe that, like yourself. I think it's something has turned up. Almost certainly the knee. And there's a risk. It's a risk equation, because the medicine centre give a report to the club, and then it's up to them whether they want to proceed with the investment, balanced against the risk. And if you're talking about £2.5 million, you've got to be pretty certain you're not buying a dud. And if those numbers don't check out, then hard as it is, as frustrating as it is, there's only one outcome. That's where we've got to with this. The deal fell apart yesterday it came out, didn't it, during the daytime? So I don't think you can knock the club. I mean, you see all sorts of nonsense online, Neil, and people saying we should take a chance. We can't take a chance when the player's potentially going to pull up, and we're then £2.5 million well, one point whatever million quid down, and you know, it's not our money, is it? It's somebody else's money that you're gambling with. So
Point is,
I don't knock the decision personally.
the point is that the medical's probably for an insurance point of view. Every
Oh yeah,
player's insured, yeah, and these medicals, they go through every injury that a player's had.
yeah,
They go through the lot, yeah, and they want to get him insured. In the old days, they would probably have just waved it through. Yeah. Yeah, but can he run? Yes. Yeah, but is he over the injury? Well, he appears to be. Oh, well, we'll just wave it through. But now, insurance companies want to go into the ins and outs of the cat's arsehole, don't they? Yeah, but if you ever try claiming on your insurance, what do
yeah,
they
and
want, don't they? But I think there's an element of Millwall's fans that can't wait for us to fail, whether it be a signing, Gary Rowett, anything.
mm.
Sausage stand outside the ground. You know what I mean, don't you? Yeah?
No, I do. I think some seem to take a certain twisted pleasure in the club failing. I don't know what it is. I mean, I sum that up in the phrase "same old Millwall." You know, well, what's the same old Millwall? I mean, yes, we have gone out on a limb with transfers in recent years. Some of them really haven't worked out. John Daddy Bodvarsson was an expensive player. So was Juri Skalak. These turned out to be playing. You know, they were playing duds. So I'm trying to
Well, they
think of a better way to put it.
weren't they?
Um, yeah, and we've wasted money. I don't have a problem with two things. One is the club attempting not to waste its money, Neil, and the other is trying to get a good deal. If you're buying a risky player, then of course the price comes down. Of course it does. Who you know what world do we live in where we just say, oh well, the house is now worth 200,000, but let's pay 1 million for it because we're what we want that house no matter what. It doesn't work like that. So I don't have a problem with the club being business minded. That's really where we have that. The same old Millwall thing is that we haven't been business minded enough in the past. So I don't. You know, it's frustrating. Of course, it's frustrating. You know, the boy can clearly score goals. He clearly knows where the back of the net is. He looks like a prospect. But if we sign him and he pulls up after a few games, then what's the point? So I,
But
you
what
know,
was that I saw a picture of him arriving back in the airport, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yesterday on Twitter. The size of that suitcase was not an overnight bag.
No, no, he's
Yeah.
come down to stay. Yeah, I've got
Full
it here.
blown
Yeah,
suitcase. Yeah. I do not buy the PR guff that he's come back to, that he's actually changed his mind to stay at Hibs. He wouldn't do that. Yeah, but they were talking about life-changing amounts of money. Yeah, he
yeah,
would
yeah,
not come down to London, had a look around wherever Millwall put the players up these days,
yeah,
Canary Wharf or Blackheath or whatever.
yeah.
Quite nice areas. It's not like they've put him up in a B&B around the corner from the Den, is it? Yeah,
No, no, no. Coldblow Lane, no. Hunsdon Road.
problem seek hostels or we're bloody or we've given him the room above the Millwall calf that used to be the knocking yeah. We put him up in a decent hotel. Yeah. There's no way he's come down and thought, oh, actually, I don't fancy that. It's absolute bollocks.
No, no. I mean, that's a means to an end, isn't it? I mean, no one wants to say the boy failed his medical. No, it's not in his interest. Not in his own
Also,
career interest.
also he has to go back to a club where a large percentage of the fans were ready to chase him out of town if he hadn't a bloody So there's a bit of PR there, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Millwall were using this as a negotiation tactic. Yeah, I don't know if we can cast our
Mm.
minds back, but
Mm.
Bart failed medical,
Well, he
didn't he?
did. Yeah, he did. And there was an on off period with him, wasn't there? Yeah.
That became a loan move, and some clubs do use the medical excuse to
Ooh,
lower the
you are
terms or
devious. You are devious, Fissler, aren't you? That's an
Yeah, I know
interesting
how
angle.
football works. Yeah, I'm not being funny. I know how football works. I've been around football and sport for long enough in my life to know how it works. Yeah, and clubs will use that as an excuse to
Mm.
bring or to change the goalposts of the deal. Now then, it might not work with Hibs because they were pretty reluctant to let us have him in the first place, weren't they?
Well, he's a goal
So
scorer, which is
yeah,
valuable.
yeah,
Um,
very valuable commodity. So where does it leave Millwall now? The transfer deadline is on Tuesday, I think it is, isn't it?
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
31st, late night. It's normally up to 11, but you got to get moving on that to get it closed before the closing of the deadline. But yeah, I mean, where it leaves us, I just made a note to myself. Where does it leave us? It leaves us with Tom Bradshaw at the moment as our really sole striker. I mean, there's an article I found here, Neil, on I think this is News at Den actually. But Gary Rowett says that this is a direct quote from the piece. Gary Rowett doesn't believe that Andreas Vogelsammer will be the answer to Millwall's depth up front. He sees him as a versatile player, but he's not the answer. Well, talk about build up your man, you know.
Well, they
So,
know what
anyways,
if, but if Gary wants to motivate him like that, honestly, but failing that, it's Abdul Malik, but he's put in, but we won't play him. So, oh, mate, it's a total mess. I can believe he was after Jamal Lowe. I can believe he's been after other players, and for whatever reason, we all know we're not going to be first choice for some of these players. I don't know why, because we're pushing for the Premier League.
well, I mean, that would
So,
have been. I mean, just going back to Nisbet. I mean, Nisbet seems. I mean, that I hadn't thought of the angle you've just said. So we'll see. Well, there's still time to go in the window. We'll see how this story unfolds if it unfolds. But I mean, from the Nisbet point of view, and for others, you know, yes, we may not be everyone's first choice. We're not Paris Saint-Germain and the glam, but we are in with a shout and a sniff of Premier League football. This would have been a great shop window for Kevin Nisbet and for players at that level. This is where this is our selling point, isn't it? That we provide a platform to, and Zian Fleming is doing this now because he's drawing interest from other clubs, as he will, possibly European interest, who knows? But this is what we can be, and this is the selling point. So we'll see. I mean, at the moment, no, we're up we're in a pickle, up a gum tree, or whatever metaphors I want to mix here, because we have no Isaac Alofi anymore, and Bennick's gone to Dubai. So we really do, it seems. And if Gary Rowett doesn't see Andreas as the answer, then it's just dear old Tom Bradshaw, who's our second highest scorer behind Zian Fleming. So we're in a pickle at the moment, I think, unless action takes place in the next, 72 hours, is it, till the 31st? So I don't know. I mean, that much remains. We're not privy to any inside info on this show, listeners. I had a great exchange with someone on Twitter. I said what I said was conjecture. We build the whole show out of conjecture and innuendo and baseless opinion, Neil, don't we? So that's what we do, mate, don't we, on the show? We have no inside track to anything, but it remains to be seen. Aldo's going to have to earn his corn for the next 3 days, I think.
it would be very interesting to know how far down the list he is. I know we mentioned it on the last show, didn't we? That Aldo's got a list of
His football
targets.
manager list.
Yeah. And
if he pulls out a plum, we're going to have to eat our words, you know that.
yeah, but it depends how far he's having to go down. I know there'll be PR nonsense and that, but the clock is ticking. Yeah?
It is.
We mentioned it. I mentioned it last week. I know that Harry will be having a stroke at this, but it makes the decision to let Benik Afobe go before we got anybody else in. And Isaac.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
It's looking, in some ways, we praise Millwall for, I had a nice gift for Aldo getting a medal ready for pulling off the signing of a Scottish international. And then, But then on the other hand, we've weakened ourselves to the extent that we've got Tom Bradshaw.
Yeah.
If he gets injured,
It's
we've either got
Vogelsammer.
or Vogelslam or the BFG that Gary Rowett is motivated by saying that he isn't the answer up front. Honestly,
Don't ask me. I don't know. I mean, there's much drama yet to unfold in this story, of course. But
this has all the hallmarks of a panic signing. Yeah, we're going to get like Luke Freeman last year.
Yeah,
and I maintain that Luke Freeman was an absolute panic.
that's how it worked out to be, wasn't it? It wasn't a great.
We've been linked with Lyle Taylor. Is it the former
Lyle Taylor? He was an ex-Millwall player, wasn't he? Back in his younger days, of course, at Wimbledon.
I think he started his career.
He's been around the block a few times, so I mean, I don't know. We're gonna finish up with somebody because we need to have somebody. You can't really expect Tom Bradshaw to lead the line in the remaining, 20 odd games? I haven't got the league table on me, but about 20 odd games left in the season, 21 possibly. So we're going to need something, and we're going to need to do it quickly. The great point, I'm just looking at some tweets that I've picked out here. This is one from JP Millwall. He says, gentle reminder, we're far more desperate for wingers than strikers. Vag Slammer, he calls him. Vag Slammer can play up front, and so can Bradshaw. Our wingers are cat piss, bar Bennett, who is made of papier-mâché. And what I do admire, JP, is that you got the expression cat's piss, but then in the French, papier-mâché, which has the little accent on the E, and also the little hat over the A in French. And I admire that attention to detail, Neil.
Yeah, he's actually gone onto Google, not sure how to spell it, and has cut and pasted or copied and put it in. I do it. Yeah, well, I do it if I'm not sure of the spelling of the name.
Secrets of the journalistic trade are being revealed left, right, and centre. Yeah.
Wikipedia, and you find out the spelling, and you copy and paste it, don't you? I'm not sure I agree about wingers because I think we've got Romanese.
We've got the enigma that is Tyler. I mean, he's injured at the moment.
Tyler, we've got Mason Bennett that can play out there. We've got the BFG. Okay, I'd like one, but I would have thought that striker is
number one.
Because if Bradshaw was to get injured and the BFG was to get injured, then we're going to do a Chelsea. Where we're going to play. We're not going to play any strikers. Yeah, we could try playing Creswell up front, couldn't you?
Well, he's that third highest scorer, so there might be an argument for that. Cresswell up front, give us a bit of height. I don't know. Incidentally, shout out to Le Picard. That was the chap who picked me up on Conjecture earlier on. Another French papier-mâché. We've gone from that to Le Picard. He's asking any ideas who we may panic buy now. I think Lyle Taylor is probably the most panicky buy I can think of, straight off the top of my head. Or other than that, we make another move for Troy Parrott or the Hoff. Maybe we're going down those roads again. I don't know. Bring back Jerry Scarlack now.
Yeah, well, Parrot. Is Parrot at MK Dons or somewhere?
He went to MK Dons. I don't think I saw him scoring the other day. I mean, I don't know that he's scoring freely. I haven't really kept tabs on his career since him.
2 or 3 years old, and so is he going to be?
Maybe we'll make a move for Troy. I don't know. I've got another one here from Phil. This is an interesting point. Phil Clark. He says, as grim as this window is looking, it's really a culmination of poor recruitment for 8+ transfer windows. The last striker we signed on a permanent deal who can be considered to have had any long-term impact is Tom Bradshaw, coming up to 5 years ago, which Phil says it all. I mean, strikers are the gold dust of the transfer world, Neil, aren't they? I mean, it's easy to knock, but unless you're going to be paying big, you're really talking about finding undiscovered or the diamonds in the rough. As I can't remember which manager that, I think it was Mark McGee had that as his always resigns in the fire, wasn't it? But anyway, it's a cliche.
You're for them.
It's not easy. This is not easy. You know, it's easily said, but it's not easy to do, is it? To find good goal scoring forwards at a price that we can afford. So,
And what you're also getting is we only play one up front. We don't play two, so
No.
we don't need an excess of strikers, do we? To be quite honest, I take Phil's point, but we haven't needed them until now, really, because we bought in Benicophobe at the start of last season, and to be fair, he did fairly well for us last year. I thought
Last year he did. He wasn't on his game this year. I think he was carrying an injury and
I
all
think
the rest.
I think that knee injury's affected him a lot more than people let on. But we are woefully short, and it does make a mockery of the fact that we've let two go. You normally
that's the bit I don't get. I don't get that.
The club in that position, they want to strengthen, not weaken the squad, and it just appears that we've approached this wrong. I'd be very interested in an explanation in English that we could understand as to why they went about this, and not just the normal management football type speak of everybody's on a journey. We've had irons in the fire, and these things just happen.
With Bennick and Isaac, Neil. I mean, anyone can make a mistake in this life. I'm not naive on that. But we did let both strikers go ahead of two fairly crucial games. One was the trip to Middlesbrough, and then the other, obviously, was the win that we had last week at Cardiff. But you know, to leave yourself short during the transfer window. Okay, we know that we don't have a game this week, 28th of Jan. But I don't know why we handicapped ourselves for those two trips. Will we ever get an explanation? No, we won't. We all know we won't. But I do take that point. It does seem rather naive to have done that. I'm just looking at it's a good chart. Big shout out to Millwall fourth generation. He's done two charts here. Best defence in the goals conceded. So we're actually third in this league table of goals conceded, behind the top two sides, Sheffield United and Burnley. We're in third spot with 27. So with a team, as we all know, built on defence. Goals scored, we are 11th. So we are falling well short of goals scored, hence the desire and need for a striker. We'll see. Whether this Nisbet thing is done, or whether it may be something more deeper than that. Who knows? We'll wait to see.
A failure to get a striker in this window will be an absolute disaster.
Well, it will be. It will be when you look at those numbers there. Yeah, I agree.
You're not you're one of these lack of ambition merchants that are knocking around, but I think you would seriously have to question our desire to push on for promotion.
I think I'd have to question our competence in the business. I mean, you know, I don't claim to be an expert, but
Nick, I think you're exactly right there.
So we'll see. We'll see.
That's in and around the playoffs. It is nothing short of incompetence if we end up with a panic signing. So
when you consider the sums of money at stake. Anyway, we've made that point. Some good news this week. The club posted that Jules Long, Bartosz Bielkowski, and Connell Truman, must be the third choice goalkeeper, have all signed new contracts. So goalkeeping wise, we seem to be set. I presume that it's going to be in that order. Long is now number one, Bart very much as seen as number two, and Connell as stopgap if any of the two main keepers fall short or fall ill or whatever. So some good news. Otherwise, Neil, the other main thing that we were just talking about off air was that the government are talking about passing the much vaunted, much discussed, seemingly endless fans charter. That seems to be something that's imminent now in Westminster. I do know it's got cross-party support, so that should help its course to to be brought into when it will apply from is the next step. But that does seem to be imminent, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a major push from Tracy Crouch and one or two others I know Kieran Maguire on The Price of Football is forever going on about it. I think there's been a lot of to-ing and fro-ing between the Premier League and the FA,
The EFL, yeah.
the EFL. I think Premier League clubs are pushing against a lot of what's planned. It'll be interesting to see what the actual legislation looks like. I think it's pie in the sky to think that it'll all be adopted. Carte blanche. Some kind of reform is needed. I think that to give fans veto on certain things, I don't know. Part of me thinks it's a great idea, but then, and I think this is a business, and you can't. Progress-wise, would we, if it became impossible for Millwall to stay in Bermondsey? I'm just using this as an instance, or as an example, because we're obviously Millwall fans.
Yeah.
I had to move. We would be able to veto that. I guess the Lions Trust would be able to veto it. But if it meant Millwall staying in business,
Yeah, what are you vetoing? This is the essence of it. I think.
Yeah, but okay, you've got MK Dons. They could have vetoed MK Dons moving, or Wimbledon moving to MK Dons. But if AFC Wimbledon fans put as much effort into saving the club in South East London as they have to
rebuilding it,
to actually rebuilding it, there wouldn't have been a need for them to move. Some of the stuff is great. Some of it is pie in the sky. And I fear that a lot of it will just be Premier League, like a cap on ticket prices for away fans, which I think is bought into the Premier League. But in the Championship, we can still be ripped off for 40 quid. And
yeah,
games.
just paid 36, I think it was, for QPR. Got a ticket today, came through. I take all of that, actually. I think sometimes the essence of what you really want, or what you should really want, you really don't want your club to be overreaching itself above and beyond what it's capable of being. So you need it to be, the awful word, sustainable. I don't really like the word, but the idea that you pay for yourself, you can continue. You have good years, you'll have bad years on the pitch, but you want fundamentally for your club, Millwall in our case, to be hopefully here for many, many years yet to come. And that doesn't always lend itself well to glory days and to signing marquee players at great wages and, overstretching yourself, as many, many clubs have done. You see the evidence of that through the leagues when you look down at the lower divisions. The Lions Trust is very close to being able to take on paid members soon, so we'll keep everyone informed on that front. As far as it's concerned, the actual day-by-day work of something like the Lions Trust isn't actually that. It's not going to be that busy. It's there for crisis moments, and we've been really, really lucky. We've said it many, many times. I'm going to say it again. I make no apologies to have had John Berylson. Not every club is that lucky, Neil. Football and rugby union and rugby league and many other sports are replete with mismanagement, clubs chasing the dream, as the cliche has it, and it leads you down the road that the likes of Scunthorpe United are seeing now, near bottom of the National League and heading into oblivion. So we've been lucky. We can't always expect to be lucky. You do need to have some form of fan organisation. For the most part, you hope it's never ever going to be needed or never has to do anything, but it's there in case the club fell to pieces, or if there was some desire to radically change it into something way beyond what it's, the Millwall that we all know and love. On the Lions Trust, we are close now to be able to make an announcement soon that we can take paid members. We will then be hoping to get a chairman, which the membership will vote for, and it will be a democratic organisation which reflects the views and stances of its members, and I think that at the end of the day is all you can aspire to. There we are, Neil. When we started out this show, I wondered how long I could talk about Kevin Nisbet and related matters. We've got to 36 minutes. That's not bad going, mate, is it?
Yeah, no, considering we're just talking about nonsense, really, aren't we? And
conjecture.
It's a good job, happy match and all kinds of stuff. No, it's just that obviously we couldn't record yesterday. You were busy.
No, that wasn't about much. Yeah.
And then there wasn't an awful lot. And then you messaged me this morning. I've been working, actually. I've been writing. Yeah, but the gossip god's not been looking favourably upon me this week. So I've had to do a bit of work for a change. A little bit hard work for 24 hours. But this is a show that actually, and it's just a way of us passing the time and giving our views on the Millwall news.
Exactly. I think probably the way I'd close. I think the way I'd close it is what Corporal Jones should say. Don't panic. I mean, the worst way this goes is that we let a good chance to get promoted get past us. I mean that is a. It's not a tragedy. Tragedies. Richie Benno, famous quote: "He said tragedies are when ships sink and earthquakes happen. Those are tragedies. This is just basically, it's both important and trivial in one. If we come through this and we're still in with a shout of Premier League football as we were last season, going into the last few games of the season, then we'll have done well. So let's see what the next 72 hours bring up. There may yet be twists and turns. I haven't got a clue who we might sign. Anyway, people tap me up sometimes asking if I've got any inside information. No, I don't have any inside information, listeners. I'm not in the know, Neil.
Yeah, well, I don't think that Aldo and Gary Rowett know who we're going to sign, to be honest.
I think you could be right.
I'll be playing Football Manager all weekend to see who can... You ever see who's going to score? Sorry, Alex, I just couldn't actually resist the Football Manager.
We couldn't resist it. Football. No, there we are. That was the bingo. That was the bingo moment. 39 minutes in, we finally mentioned Football Manager.
But one thing, we are going to record the Sunday history.
Yeah, we'll do that separately though. That wouldn't have fitted into this at all.
No,
we'll do that another day.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten about it. We haven't forgotten, I promise. But it's been a bit busy, and this just seemed like a good way of getting a show this weekend. Absolutely. Really.
Big shout out to Dean Vasic, who asked if I was doing a show yesterday, and we couldn't get it done yesterday. But it's nice to know that people want to listen to whatever nonsense Neil and I can come out with. So hopefully we'll fulfil that desire in your shout out to Dean Vasic. Anyway, there we are. Big thank you, Neil. Thanks for taking time out, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers, Nick, for the vote of confidence, Dean. Here you go, mate. Yeah, we've spent nearly 40 minutes talking absolute bollocks for your pleasure.
And big thank you to Gary Rowett for his man motivational skills from Andreas Vogelsam. I've got a little note popped up on this. I didn't really. Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Achtung, Millwall.